First of all, thank you for having me here. We are indeed in Jakarta for the 10th already edition. So my name is Marit Brommer and I am the Executive Director of the IGA, and the IGA is the International Geothermal Association. And we are a global advocacy platform collecting data and information on where we stand with geothermal in order to advocate its best practices, really promote geothermal energy to the not yet convinced, converted, or the non-believers, so to speak. So that's our role.
As the IGA head, you've been very active recently in promoting geothermal in small islands all over the world.
Yes.
What is the motivation for this, and how much potential is there for geothermal in these regions?
So there are a couple of ways looking at it, and I think as a geologist, because deep in my heart I'm still sort of this earth scientist that tries to push geothermal from a subsurface element, and if you look at it through that lens, you see this enormous potential of these small island states either sitting on top of a volcano literally, or with all our innovative technologies or the demand for more cooling type of technologies, understanding that our earth scientific part can do its thing in order to make these islands carbon neutral and also more affordable when it comes down to their pricing and their tariffs. Because motivation number 2 for targeting islands is we are working together with a phenomenal foundation called Greening the Islands, and we have been looking at all these electricity prices at islands, and it is just extraordinary to actually map that and understand that certain people pay 90 cents, dollar cents. This is US dollar. This is not New Zealand dollar. This is US dollar cents. So 90 cents for a kilowatt hour. And on average, if you look, it's 65 cents that people pay living on remote islands or small island states. And I guess that is sort of the driver behind the push to get geothermal noticed as an affordable baseload type of solution to help solve both the decarbonization demand, but also getting a little bit less pricing would be great for those people who live on islands.
Okay, despite potentially high electricity prices in these islands, I think the obvious limitation of an island is that there is a limited market there. So what is the strategy for addressing this type of limitation?
So you see a couple of things. One is groups of islands are very much looking into, can we do something interconnected? Can the cables be interconnected? Is there one island, Caribbean is looking at this from a very, let's say, CARICOM, the combination of the different Caribbean islands. They're looking at it with which island has, let's say, strategically and economically the best opportunities in order to build one power plant. And when it has built that power plant, can it then strategically lay the cable such that it can also power the other islands? At the same time, with interconnection always comes some more collaboration needs, and hence stakeholders all need to be aligned, and that is where sometimes these projects get a little bit more delayed. What you also see, and that's a very interesting topic in general, because I feel it's a topic here as well in Indonesia, is that people start to realize that geothermal is a resource industry, right? We are not just putting more electrons on the grid. We can do green hydrogen, for instance. We can create direct opportunities for employment, so the socio-economic development with geothermal is a massive opportunity for islands to have more employment. I mean, the majority of islanders are out of work. We could provide work with our direct use opportunities, cascading it from the power plant. There are many sort of ways to look into geothermal as a socio-economic driver. So it is for, let's say, these two strategic elements we're trying to build in the advocacy around why certain islands may be faster than others, but could potentially transform their native and indigenous local source of energy into something concrete.
And it's interesting to circle this back into Indonesia, because Indonesia also has its own small islands, and they're trying to push for geothermal in these parts of the country as well. So what do you think are the lessons from Indonesia's success in geothermal that can be translated into small islands?
So I think what is for me very important to see as a lesson and to recognize as a lesson here yes, we are all, especially the ones who are in geothermal, are very much focused on the technology. And of course, technology matters. I am not denying that technology is super important, but equally as important is understanding the society, is understanding the community, is understanding that you're doing this with and on behalf and for the people who live there. And talking to especially the more social scientists, the ones who have been engaged, for instance, by Pertamina, to deal specifically as stakeholder engagement with the local communities, those lessons are extremely valuable, because my impression is that if you really dive down in our data, it's not just technology or lack of resources or the impermeability of the wells that's stopping project. It's actually the social resistance. And hence, I think Indonesia, especially on those islands, like Flores Islands, for instance. Flores Island is a phenomenal example of an island that now wants to be titled Geothermal Island. Whilst I was also told that in the beginning, it took quite some dialogue and consultation in order to get geothermal in the region. So in that sense, I think the social element of geothermal and communicating about its benefits, but also including the community as part of the case, is a lesson that at the moment Indonesia can be a shining example for.